Student versus Professional, Over the Rainbow by Harold Arlen, arranged by Robert Utomo. So yes, we have a student performance prepared to competition standard, and we have a performance from Robert Utomo himself. It's going to be extremely close. They're both very, very good performances, so I'm going to be super picky with my comments. But that's the point of today's video. We want to dive below the surface and really see what those small, minute differences are that make a performance go from excellent to outstanding. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Studio. My name is Adam, and it's time for a very special version of Let's Watch called Student versus Professional. Thank you so much to my studio VIPs, Robert Utomo, Will Flinner, Ryan Carlisle, Sang Chun Han, Greg Harris, Dom Dominic Chung, DP Newberger, Marimba Maurice, and Scott Rader. Thank you so much for your continued support. And today's featured studio artist is Tommy. Thank you so much for your continued support. And if you'd like to become a studio VIP or a studio artist, you can go to patreon.com/untan, or you can click over here. Welcome back to the show once again. I hope you've been well. I hope you've been staying safe, staying at home, most importantly, watching more YouTube videos. Today's episode is a Let's Watch, but it's a brand new kind of Let's Watch that I've wanted to try, which is called Student versus Professional. I think this is going to be a really interesting comparison because I personally believe the line between student and professional is getting more and more blurred every day. Like, students are getting really, really strong now, and professionals are getting younger and younger. So I'm really interested to see how this turns out over the next few weeks. If you have any videos that you'd like to feature in this kind of comparison, just send them to adamchanpercussion.com/submit and let me know that you'd like it to be compared in a student versus professional episode. So to kick things off, I've chosen a piece that is really, really well known amongst the marimba community. It is Over the Rainbow by Harold Arlen, arranged by Robert Utomo. So this solo has been around for 6 years, this arrangement obviously, not the original tune. I also learned this piece 2 years ago in the video How to Learn and Practice Any Marimba Solo. You can check it out over here. So yeah, I know that this piece is actually deceptively difficult. It is short and everyone knows the tune very well, but the runs and the musicality required for the chorale sections make this a really interesting piece to learn. Okay, so the performances. We have a student performance from Jonathan Kaufman, who performed this Over the Rainbow live in the Lone Star Classic Marimba competition. He received second prize. So this is a very polished, very good performance that has been prepared to competition standard. And our professional performance is, of course, Robert Utomo himself performing this live at the Australian Marimba competition in 2016. So I think this is a very fair comparison because both videos are filmed on mobile phones. The audio quality is more or less the same. They're both live performances, so there's no editing involved. They're both playing this on concert instruments, really nice concert instruments, and also in a concert environment with a live audience present. So it's going to be extremely close. They're both very, very good performances. So I'm going to be super picky with my comments. But that's the point of today's video. We want to dive below the surface and really see what those small, minute differences are that make a performance go from excellent to outstanding. Let's do it. Also, if you have a copy of the score with you, please feel free to follow along. So we're going to start off with the first section, which is the lateral intro. And we're going to see Jonathan's version first. Okay, so in the score, yes, you are supposed to slow down and speed up the laterals. They go from quavers to semi-quavers to demi-semi-quavers, or as you guys call them, 8th notes to 16th notes to 32nd notes. Because it's supposed to start at 8th notes, I feel like he could have started off a lot slower. And then that way the speeding up of the laterals would have been a little bit more effective. I also feel like he could have kept it softer because it only goes up to mezzo piano in this section. But otherwise, not bad. Okay, let's watch Robert's version. So Robert really gave us a lot of different textures. He started off really slow. He also changed the roll speed towards the climax. You could see that he actually altered it slow, fast, slow almost. And it added that element of a little bit of drama in a section that is otherwise quite linear. So that was really interesting. Robert was also more deliberate about changing to a standard chorale roll towards the end, which is marked in the score, whereas Jonathan's version was a little bit less obvious. But overall, both of them sound pretty good. Okay, let's move on to the second chorale section, which is now just normal rolls. So this is Jonathan's version first. Okay, not bad. Again, the chorale section, he's being careful to get roll speed variance, which is a more advanced technique. A lot of people, when they first see a chorale like this, which is all just normal chorale rolls, they tend to just keep the roll speed the same. And he was not tricked by that. He did try to get some swells. I did think it got a little bit too loud. This section is only mezzo piano, but we're already getting a lot of that harder core sound. And also that may have something to do with the fact that his mallets are not tilted. He's getting full core sound because the mallets are being rolled flat, whereas most advanced players will tend to tilt their mallets to get more edge of the head sound, so they get more of a softer sound instead of the harder core sound. Maybe that would have helped a little bit. But we'll see what Robert does first. Okay, so firstly, Robert is using Nancy Zeltzman graduated set mallets here. So these are a warmer mallet and they are oblong shaped, which means you can get more of a soft sound if you tilt the mallet. And you'll notice that Robert actually tilted just the right hand. He didn't tilt the left hand. And I think this is because the top mallet in the Nancy Zeltzman grad set is quite hard. And he didn't want to get that core sound because it comes through a lot faster. This is like super advanced chorale playing. It's something that Robert is really well known for. And yeah, I guess I expect nothing less. But yes, I think if Jonathan tilted just a little bit, he would have gotten less core sound and this section would sound a little bit more warm. Okay, so the next section is the start of the Over the Rainbow theme, the main theme. So let's see how Jonathan does it first. Okay, that's really nice actually. Okay, so firstly, the accuracy is very good. It's very impressive that he's getting all the notes sounding good and sounding correct. I do think the dynamics are not quite right because I know that none of these chords they are not supposed to be accented. The only part of this section that is climactic is the start of the chromatic run. Now this chromatic passage pops out of a completely diatonic phrase. Like before that, everything is very humdrum and normal, and then we suddenly have this run pop out of nowhere. So if the loudness is kept to just this unique section, it becomes a lot more special. Jonathan is also doing a lot of these abrupt upstrokes, which is a very front ensemble style of playing. It's good, but it does make it feel a little bit tense. But we'll see how Robert does it first. Ah, Robert is too good. Okay, so the first thing you notice immediately, everything is a lot softer. And Robert is also taking his time with everything. He's very delicate with his moving to make it not look too jerky or abrupt, which makes the whole thing feel a lot more flowy in general. Now, as we start to watch the next few sections, it's important to note that Robert is also paying a lot of attention to voicing, because this arrangement relies heavily on that very clear over the rainbow melody that everyone knows. And if that melody gets lost in all the runs, like dun, 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 then it's very, yeah. A good example of good voicing from Robert just now. And as that chromatic run is going, that A is still ringing through the whole, because it's kind of like a pedal note. And this sort of emphasis gives a sustained quality to different voices. And it's what makes the marimba playing sound less like tuk, 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 and more like flowing chords. Okay, let's keep watching. So this is Jonathan now. Okay, that last accent was a bit abrupt, boom. It kind of came out of nowhere, but I have to say his rolls were really nice. He really dropped down to those almost niente moments, like just fading it away, and he really gave it a lot of space. The dynamics are still incorrect, however. He's still suddenly making it loud when it's not supposed to be. But I like the rolls before that, so overall the attention to dynamics would have made it just a little bit better. Now let's listen to Robert's version. He just went dun, 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 like really soft, really light, and he really pursued that molto rallentando. But I would say the rolls are not far off between the two players. I'd say they're pretty good. Okay, let's keep watching. So this is now Jonathan playing the key change. Okay, so firstly, the accuracy is very impressive. The notes are all mostly correct. It's very, very good playing. However, it's not what's written on the score. It is supposed to be a rallentando. It's supposed to be slower, and then it's supposed to start slower too. It's adagio cantabile marked in the score, and that sounded more like it was quite fast. Also, we're losing the top and bottom voices a little bit because we're hearing the fancy runs more clearly. And I get that these fancy runs are very exciting, but yes, that doesn't necessarily mean you play it super fast. But yes, very impressive still. Very impressive that the accuracy is so high. I struggled with that a lot when I learned this piece. Okay, let's listen to Robert's version. Okay, so Robert's version, as you can hear, is a lot slower. There's no real rush when he's playing those fast runs. They're still accurate, they're still clear, but they're not super fast and condensed. Also in the chromatic run, we heard once again that subito metaphor. Jonathan is kind of doing it, but Robert is just giving it that extra level of care and making sure to bring out that top voice. Okay, let's go back to Jonathan with the next section. Okay, so yes, both players are exhibiting very clear top and bottom voices now in this section and keeping that tempo feel very steady and very constant. So not much difference at all, actually. Now back to Jonathan. Okay, so in this section, Jonathan has ended absolutely superbly with that really nice cutoff, really slow and measured rolls, just really, really soft. And that's what I was looking for at the beginning. So if he had done that in the start where it was also mezzo piano, that would have been really nice. This leads me to something that I like to call rationing, which is basically keeping the highs to a minimum. Like, you don't want to have too much heart sass. Jonathan is already making these sections very loud and very exciting very early on when they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be soft. So if you conserve that and wait until later, then it becomes way more impressive. Anyway, let's see how Robert deals with this heart sass. So Robert really put a lot of attention in his bass notes. You can see in that C, yes, those tenuto notes he brought out, but everything else, the runs, he kept them to a minimum because it's still mezzo piano. He's saving his hot sauce. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, Jonathan is being really clear with the melody. You can hear which parts are important, which is that top melody. Ba, 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 ba. The accuracy is also extremely good, and he's getting that build up to the next section, which is, yes, you guessed it, the heart sauce section. But let's keep watching and see how Maestro Utomo does it. Obviously, different interpretations of the rubato, that is totally subjective, so I'm not going to judge that. But Robert is doing a really good job of playing soft, yet still delineating the voices. You can still very clearly hear that top mallet, the slightly harder mallet, coming out over the top of this really small and soft texture. It's really beautiful playing. So yes, great job from both players so far, great build up. Let's see where this goes. Okay, apart from that random cough, that was really good. Yeah, the run is very accurate, and he did slow down a little bit towards the top of each run, but I think that's okay, as long as it's not too much. I think he's done a really good job of that. Wow, that was impressive. Now let's see how Robert does it. Okay, so Robert's taken a different approach. He's slowed down everything. He's spread it out a lot more so that he can reach the runs a little bit more comfortably while keeping that sort of climactic feel. And it didn't get too loud or too harsh, but at the same time, I don't think Jonathan's version was bad either. I think they're both really good interpretations. Wow, it's getting really close. Let's keep watching. Whoa, okay, so Jonathan is rushing a little bit. You can feel like he's tensing up in this section. He's really trying to make it sound exciting, but he's also crunching some of his runs, and we're getting a little bit of mistakes here and there. So I think if Jonathan relaxed a little bit, it could be a little bit better. I don't think it needs to be that fast. That being said, Jonathan is delineating the voices much better. You can hear the bass and the melody lines a lot clearer. I think the mallets aren't very helpful because they're still very core heavy. We're not hearing a lot of warmth. Let's watch Robert's version. Robert has actually got much slower and steadier 16th notes. You see, he's not going very fast. And he keeps the fast things for those fancy runs. Then those fancy runs, like we said before with the rationing thing, they sound much more impressive because the constant parts are much slower. Robert is paying extra attention to the voicing as well, with really clear top octave and really clear bottom bass note, and it's helped especially by his choice of mallets. Okay, back to Jonathan. Wow, okay, so Jonathan really treated that with so much care. He really was very, very careful, really delicate playing. He really relaxed in that section. You could see the difference. Let's see how Robert does it. Oh man. Okay, so yes, Robert's warm mallets once again helped him a lot in this situation. It doesn't sound too bright, but also his little split octaves just brilliant. So yeah, in this section, I'd say both players are pretty similar. Okay, so the rolls actually sound not too bad, but again, we're getting a lot of that core sound because he's not tilting the mallets and because the mallets are just generally unsuitable in my opinion. But also, he's not changing the roll speed as much as we saw at the beginning. His roll speed is staying mostly the same unless it goes down to nothing. Again, this is a more advanced chorale technique because it's done largely by feel and you just kind of get used to it after you've done it a lot. That's why I always say chorales are deceptively difficult because people think, oh, just rolls, that's easy. But making your chorale go from just straight rolls to varied rolls that can bring out different nuances of articulation is really difficult. So with that all being said, Jonathan is still doing a pretty decent job. I just wish he used softer mallets. Let's see how Robert did it. So you can see, right, he changed the roll speed, like he's changing it within the phrase to start the long note. And that is just super, super advanced. The other thing I noticed that he was doing that Jonathan wasn't doing so much was every time he changed chords, he would always change with the left hand first. And this is because on a marimba, especially a 5 octave, the lower bars always sound longer than the higher bars. So you should always change your chords with the lower notes first. For example, if you're going from a chord up here and you want to go down to here, you would not change with the right hand hitting the first note, you would change with the left hand hitting the first note because that's your bass note. You really learn a lot about someone's playing through chorales. Let's see how they finish it. That run is not correct, obviously. That is a diminished 7th run. I think the run in the actual piece has an A natural. That octave C was surprising as well. It's not supposed to be an octave C, it's just a single note and it's supposed to be the softest note in the piece. Triple pianissimo. So that was kind of random. Not too bad, the run was good. If the notes were correct, I think the run would have been perfect. And that last E flat note was very nice, very soft. Let's see how Robert finishes it. Okay, so Robert's last C in that run, the one that I said was not supposed to be an octave C, you see how little he made that C? Just... That is like really, really special. You see, like the softest notes can sometimes be the most special. And yeah, I think Robert turns that run into something really impressive when he can show just that much control with this tiny little C with the hardest mallet in his hand, just ding. Amazing. And yes, the last note was really, really nice too. That being said, both performances were very, very good. Again, as I said, the competition level preparation that Jonathan did was very good. He paid attention to note accuracy the most, I would say, because the notes were extremely accurate, very few wrong notes. And he just did a really good job. Like, he put a lot of his own emotions and his own interpretation into it, which I think is really, really nice. Again, I'm being super nitpicky when I say this, but Robert had the slightly better performance because he had that added dimension of musicality. He really cared about all of the dynamics very, very much. He knew when to save the hot sauce. I guess most of this comes from being the arranger of the piece, but I think Robert just plays really nice in general. He pays a lot of attention to these small details that a lot of people don't see. So yes, if you want to check out the full performances, they're both in the description below. If you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this comparison or what you thought of the performances today. Did you think I was being too harsh? Did you think I didn't notice certain things? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, if you want to submit anything to Let's Watch, especially for this new segment, you can go to adamchanpercussion.com/submit and submit it over there to be featured on the next episode. Finally, if you haven't already, please hit that red subscribe button below to keep up with my uploads. So I upload brand new content like this every single week, especially during this time where we are all stuck at home in self-quarantine. It's a very difficult time, but we will stick together. So yes, make sure you hit that notification bell to know whenever I upload a brand new episode. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of The Studio. Good night.
I know your body, I know your heart. Your eyes told me from the start, but then you fall back.